So this worksheet will have questions which are segregated according to the topic. So the first topic we are going to concentrate is on moment of inertia. Like we'll see what were the previous year questions asked based on moment of inertia. It can be only moment of inertia. It can be based on integration. It can be parallel axis theorem. It can be perpendicular axis theorem. But whatsoever it is, we will see. Okay. So we'll get started. So let's start with the first question. So the first question is, so there is a circular disk of radius B and has a hole of radius A at its center as shown in the figure. Okay. If the mass per unit area of the disk varies as sigma by R, then the radius of gyration of the disk about its axis passing through its center would be how much? So how to solve this problem is, so how do we solve? So read the question carefully, okay? Just a minute. So let's read the question carefully. You have a circular disk, okay? The circular disk of is of radius B and has a hole of radius A at its center. The mass per unit area of the disk varies as sigma naught divided by R. Then the radius of gyration of the disk about its axis passing through the center. See, if I take the mass of the whole portion as m, right, then can I directly write the moment of inertia of the bigger disk as mr square by 2 about its center? Had it been a complete disk, okay, had it been a complete disk, can I write the total moment of inertia as m into b square divided by 2, where m is the mass of the object? Can I write it like this or not?
Yes, sir.
The answer is no. Because here, the moment of inertia mb square divided by 2 is derived by considering a uniform mass density. So what do you mean by uniform mass density? It means the value of sigma comes out to be the mass divided by pi r square. That is pi b square. Right? Here it is a constant value. But what have they mentioned in this question? Is it a constant one? If the mass per unit area, that is the mass density of the disk, is varying with respect to distance, where r is the radius, right? R is the distance from the center actually. How do we solve them? So the answer here is, wherever there is a varying quantity, wherever you see this varying, right? The first thing is we need to approach using the concept of integration. Okay. So what is the moment of inertia due to a small piece? If I say I have a mass of dm, then what is the moment of inertia of the small mass? It will be dm into r square. Accepted? Then what will be the total moment of inertia? It will be integral of dm into r square. So if you see, this is taken as a general formula for calculating the moment of inertia of whom? Of an extended object by calculating the smaller mass dm. So what we are supposed to do in this problem is, we need to consider a small mass, or we need to consider a small area. Okay. The area will be taken in such a way that I've considered a small disk itself whose thickness is dx. I will consider it at a distance x and whose thickness is dx. Try to understand, guys. If I say that sigma is equal to sigma naught divided by r, okay, this is given. How do I find the mass that is present in this small area that I considered? What is the value of dm? Guys, tell me how to proceed. If you're able to understand, let me know. If there is some doubt, that also let me know so that I'll explain in a different way. Are you able to understand till what I explained? What I'm trying to do here is, since the mass is not uniform, I'm trying to find what is the mass that is present in the small strip that we have considered. So what is dm? Dm is equal to, remember it is sigma into dA, because sigma is equal to what? Dm divided by dA. Sigma is mass by area. In this case, it is going to be dm divided by dA. But what is the value of sigma that is given? Sigma naught divided by r into, can you guys tell me what is going to be the area of this portion? What is going to be the area of this portion? It will be 2 pi r into dr. How did I get that? Or 2 pi x into dx. Since r is given, it is better I will take it as r only. Just a minute. So dm will be equal to sigma divided by r into 2 pi r dr. Can someone tell me how did I get this 2 pi r dr?
Differentiating pi r square.
You can either differentiate pi r square. Yeah, that's right. You can differentiate pi r square with respect to r. That is, a is equal to pi r square. dA divided by dr is equal to 2 pi r. You can leave it as it is. So dA will be 2 pi r dr. The other way to find is, see, what is the area between two concentric circles? So if you look at it, the outer portion is there, right? What will be the radius of the outer portion? It will be, can I write it like this? R plus dr the whole square minus area of the inner portion. Area of the inner portion is pi r square. This will be pi into r square plus dr square plus 2r dr minus pi r square. So pi r square and this will get cancelled. Dr square is approximated to 0. You will get 2 pi r dr. So these are the two ways in which we can derive the value of dA. That is 2 pi r dr. I hope this point is clear, right? Now, what will be the moment of inertia? I will be equal to integral of dm. In the place of dm, can I write it as sigma by r into 2 pi r dr? So r and r are gone. What is the value of r? What is the value of r that I need to take from? So this is mass into r square. Yeah. What is the value of, what is the range of r? This r should start here and it should go till here. So what is this distance of r?
A.
A to, what is the distance
A
of
to
this?
B.
A to B, that's it, that's right. So integral of A to B. So it will be 2 pi sigma into integral of A to B r square dr. So it will be 2 pi sigma into r cube by 3 from A to B. So 2 pi sigma into B cube by 3 minus A cube by 3. This is the moment of inertia. Right? But unfortunately, what did they ask in this question? There's a slightly lengthy question, but it covers many concepts. They didn't ask the moment of inertia, they asked the radius of gyration. So if you know the moment of inertia, what will you do?
Equated to mk square.
You equate it to mk square, right? But here, one more unfortunate thing is you don't know the total mass of the disk also. So how do you calculate the total mass of the disk? For that, you have a formula. dm is equal to sigma by r into 2 pi r dr. Right? So dm is equal to sigma by r into 2 pi r dr. R and r will get cancelled. This will be 2 pi sigma into dr. So what is going to be the total mass? Integral of 2 pi sigma dr from where to where?
A to B.
That's right. So it is 2 pi sigma into, what is the value of, so integral of dr from a to b is nothing but b minus a, 2. So from 1 and 2, can I write 2 pi sigma into b cube minus a cube, the whole divided by 3. is equal to 2 pi sigma into b minus a. 2 pi sigma will get cancelled, which implies a cube minus b cube is a square, b cube minus a cube is b minus a into b square plus ab plus a square. This is equal to b minus a times k square. This is I, this is m into k square. So b minus a will get cancelled and you have a 3 in the denominator. So what is the value of k? K is equal to root of b square plus ab plus a square the whole divided by 3. B square plus a square plus ab, b square plus a square plus ab the whole divided by 3 under a root. This is the answer. Am I clear, guys? This is a very good problem. Am I clear, guys? Any doubt?
Yes, sir.
Clear, right? Okay. Okay. We'll do a similar problem. That is problem number 3. I thought we'll do this first, then we'll go to second one. Just a minute. Yeah. So you guys try this and tell me the answer. No? There is a thin disk of mass capital M and radius r, which has mass per unit area as k into r square, where r is the distance from its center. Its moment of inertia about an axis passing through its center of mass and perpendicular to its plane. What is it? You guys do and tell me. No? So now you can skip few steps. So what is the formula for moment of inertia of extended objects? I is equal to, just now I told you, integral of
dm r square.
Yes, integral of dm into r square. So wherever you have extended object, your work is to find out what is the value of dm. So dm also we have a formula. I told you, dm is equal to sigma into
dA.
dA, right? So here, for a disk, right? For a disk, what is the object you are going to consider? You will consider another disk of thickness dr. So this will be dr, this will be r. So what was the difference between previous question and this one? In the previous question, the value of sigma was sigma naught by r, and secondly, they didn't give you the mass and the radius. Here the advantage is you can find the, let's see what we can do. So sigma is equal to kr square. What is the value of dA? 2 pi r dr. Right. So here, why have they given you the total mass m? Can someone tell me why is it m needed in this problem? Why is it important? If you look at the options and you look at the data given for sigma, you'll understand.
Because in the previous question we needed only radius of gyration, but here we needed moment of inertia.
Okay, for moment of inertia also, if that is the case, since sigma is given, right? I know sigma, I know dA. If I take this and substitute it here and integrate, I'm going to get the answer. But why do I need mass here? If you look at the options, you will get the answer to my question. Because in the options, is there anywhere you're able to find that value of K? In the options, there is nowhere K given. See, for example, I'll do this problem and show you. If I directly take this dm and substitute, now what I will get is 2 pi K R cube into dr, right? So what is the value of R? Since this is a complete disk, what is the value of R? R is varying from center. If I take the center as origin, from center to what is this capital R? So can I write it as 0 to capital R? So it will be 2 pi K into integral of 0 to R cube dr, right? That will be 2 pi K into how much?
R power 4 by 4.
So this is the moment of inertia. I'm not saying this is wrong, this is right. But they don't want the answer in terms of K. They want it in terms of mass. So what is our work? Since we know dm in terms of K, let me take this as equation number 1. Can I find the total mass as integral of dm from 0 to R? That is integral of 0 to R, K R square. That is 2 pi K R cube dr. What will I get? 2 pi K R power 4 divided by 4. So it will be by 2. Second. So when this is the value of m, then what will be the value of K? 2 capital M divided by pi K R power 4. Let this be equation number. I made a mistake. 1 minute, 1 minute. So this one, what did I miss? Tell me. In this step, there is
R
a mistake.
square.
I missed an R square. So it should have been R power 5, right? So what will be the value? It will be R power 5 divided by 5. Now it is fine. R power 4. This is equation number 2.
So it's R power 6 by 6.
6, oh sorry. Because it should have 2 powers more than mass. So R power 6 by 6. So what will be the value of I? I will be 2 pi into, in the place of K, I will write it as 2m divided by pi K into R power 4 into R power 6 by 6. So pi and pi are gone. Now why did I write K again? It is only R power 4. So it will go 3 times. So it is 2mr square divided by 3. Do you have an option? I think that's the last one. 2mr square divided by 3. Is this clear, guys? Now, are people able to understand how to apply integration?
Yes, sir.
Right? So make a note of this. I'm moving on to the next one. Let's try the fourth one. Next. A stationary horizontal disk is free to rotate about its axis. When a torque is applied on it, its kinetic energy as a function of theta, where theta is the angle made by which it has rotated, is given as k theta square. If its moment of inertia is I, then the angular acceleration of the disk is how much? Okay, let's try to convert the given statement. So you have a stationary horizontal disk which is free to rotate about its axis. So they have applied torque. when torque is applied, it is going to rotate. When it is rotating, it has kinetic energy, and the kinetic energy in this case is given as a function of theta. And how is it dependent? But theta is the angle by which it is rotated. So it might be in terms of radians. Is given as k theta square. If its moment of inertia is I, then the angular acceleration of the disk. So what is the kinetic energy? Half I omega square. Can I write it as k times theta? That's what they told. K theta square. Yeah. So here, what are all the unknowns? So here, what is unknown, guys? Look at the expression that I've written. Half is a constant. I is given in the question. Omega not there, unknown. K theta square is given in the question. What is expected? Angular acceleration. So we have an expression for angular velocity. So omega square is equal to 2k theta square divided by I. If we have expression for angular velocity, how do we get angular acceleration? Alpha is equal to d omega divided by dt. Right? So what can I do to this expression? Can I differentiate? So differentiate on both sides with respect to what?
Time.
Yes. So if I do it with respect to time, 2 omega into d omega by dt, chain rule, is equal to 2k divided by I. Here the variable is theta because k and I are constant. 2 theta into d theta divided by dl. Accepted, guys? Right. So d theta divided by dt is nothing but omega. If that is the case, d theta by dt and omega will get cancelled. 2 and 2 are gone. D omega by dt will give me alpha is equal to 2 times k divided by I multiplied with theta. 2k by I multiplied with theta. Right? I hope it is clear.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So let's do some more problems which are based on different concepts. So integration ones, I would like you guys to try it. And if you have any doubts, you can approach me. So again, see, by looking at the fifth question, I can say we have to do it by integration. Can you tell me why? The fifth question clearly says you have to do integration because there is a function that is given. So wherever you see a function in physics, right, mostly the problems will be based on calculus. So that time you need to think depending on the question. If in the question by differentiating you get the expected answer, you need to go with that, like how we did in the previous problem. If you get the answer by integrating, you have to go with it like how we did the third problem. Okay, so this part I'm leaving it to you. It's a homework problem. You try it and let me know. Sixth one. The moment of inertia of a solid sphere about an axis parallel to its diameter and at a distance x from it is given as I of x. Which one of the graphs represents the variation of I of x with x correctly? So what is the object you have in your hand? You have a So what are we supposed to do, guys? So indirectly, what theorem are we supposed to apply in this problem?
Parallel axis theorem.
The parallel axis theorem. Apply and tell me what is the answer. It's the sixth one, right? So what is the moment of inertia of a solid sphere about its center of mass, about its diameter is
2 by 5 r square.
2 by 5 mr square. So what will be the moment of inertia at a distance x, parallel axis? It will be 2 by 5 mr square plus m into x square. Accepted. So I is taken on y-axis. This is what is I of x. So y is equal to some constant plus m into distance square, that is x square. So y is equal to x square represents what? It's an upward parabola.
Parabola.
Right? It's an upward parabola. So first and second option are eliminated. So I have to look at B and D. Which one is right?
B.
Why?
Sir, because there's a constant at.
Yes. So mx square is basically like this. See, for example, you have y is equal to x square. This is the graph. If you have y is equal to x square plus 2, then what will happen is to the basic graph, you have to shift it by 2 units in the upward direction. So answer is D. So the difference between mathematical part and this one is, why didn't we take left hand side, guys? Because x represents what?
Distance.
It is distance. So distance cannot be negative. Do the seventh one. Let the moment of inertia of a hollow cylinder of length 30 centimeter having inner radius of 10 centimeter and outer radius of 20 centimeter about its axis is I. The radius of the thin cylinder of the same mass such that its moment of inertia about its axis also I is how much? So indirectly they're asking you the radius of gyration. So here how many cases are there? Case 1, we have a hollow cylinder. So what is the moment of inertia of a hollow cylinder? So what is the moment of inertia of a hollow cylinder about its axis? Wait, I'll show you. It's a cylinder only, right?
Yes, sir.
So the moment of inertia of a hollow cylinder of length L having inner radius and outer radius. So here what is going to happen is this hollow cylinder. So how to remember is, remember guys. So what is the moment of inertia of a solid cylinder about its axis?
MR square by 2.
Mr square by 2. So Mr square by 2 is there for some other material also. What is it? It's there
Solid
for a...
sphere.
No, solid sphere is 2 by 5 Mr square. It's there for a disk.
Disk, sir. Disk.
Right? That is a solid. So I'm talking about a solid cylinder. I'm trying to create a similarity. Okay. Similarly, if I have a completely hollow cylinder, what is the moment of inertia of it? So if it is a completely hollow cylinder, its moment of inertia is mr square. Remember this. But mr square is there for something else also.
Ring.
For a ring. So what I'm trying to say here is a solid cylinder is similar to a disk. Right? A completely hollow cylinder, that is why they told thin cylinder. Okay. Okay. So for a hollow cylinder, completely hollow cylinder, it is mr square, means it will behave like a ring. But in this question, though they use the word hollow cylinder, what is the point we need to concentrate on? It has an inner radius and outer radius, means some portion of the solid is present and some is not present. So it will behave similar to what? So since some solid is present, can I say it's like a hollow disk also? Am I right, guys? Are you able to understand what I'm trying to say? So a solid cylinder will be similar, will be behaving similar to a hollow disk. So for a hollow disk, that is an annular disk, that is what we did on the other day. For an annular disk, what is the moment of inertia? It is m into r1 square plus r2 square divided by 2. Okay. So what is the value of I1? M into r1 square plus r2 square divided by 2. Can I call it as 1? So what will be the moment of inertia of a thin cylinder? I2 is how much? It will be mr square, where r is the radius of the cylinder. That's what they're asking. So they are saying I1 is equal to I2. Mass is the same, r1 square plus r2 square divided by 2 is equal to m into r square. M is gone. So what will be the value of r? So that is square root of r1 square is 100 plus 400, root of 500 divided by 2. So how much will it be? Root of 250. 250 is approximately how much? 225 is 15 square, 15 point something. So it is less, it is greater than 15, less than 16, because 256 is 16. So it can be approximated to how much value? Let me know if there is any doubt. Did you guys understand what I meant by hollow cylinder and a hollow disk here? Why didn't I use the formula mr square? Rather, I used it as m into r1 square plus r2 square by 2.
Yes, sir.
Good. Make a note of it. Right? Shall I move on to the next one?
1 minute, sir.
Yeah, make a note. Right?
Yes, sir.
Done?
Yes.
Ah. Yeah. So let's do one more problem, then we'll move to the next topic. Is there anything I'm missing? So circular discs D2, I think there is some part missing. So a circular disc D1 of mass capital M and radius R has two identical discs D2 and D3 of the same mass capital M and radius R attached rigidly at its opposite ends as shown in the figure. The moment of inertia of the system about the axis OO dash passing through the center D1 as shown in the figure will be how much? How to proceed, guys?
So should we use perpendicular axis theorem to find the moment of inertia of the other two disks?
You have to tell me, like, what comes to your mind. So now let's logically think. Are you able to visualize first? Are you all able to visualize? Tell me that thing. Wait, I have to show this. You're able to see me, right? Fortunately, I have some CDs in my hand. There is a disc like this. Okay. This is which point? This is O dash. Okay. This disc has the tendency to rotate in this way. Now what they are saying is there is one disc attached like this and another disc attached like this. You need to find the moment of inertia of this system, right? With this disc and this disc together, when the whole system is revolving. Means when this is revolving, this is also revolving like this. Try to understand, right? If that is the case, this is the disc one. For the disc one, what is the moment of inertia about O dash?
mr square by 2.
It's mr square by 2. Now, have O dash in your mind. I'm removing this disc. About the same O dash, what will be the moment of inertia of this disc of D2? That is where we need to think. About this axis, the moment of inertia. About this axis, what is the moment of inertia?
mr square by 2.
mr square by 2. But this is the axis, so we need an axis parallel to this and passing through the center. So you need an axis like this. So what axis will that act like? That axis will act like what line to this particular material?
Diameter.
So if you are able to find what is the moment of inertia about this diameter, will you be able to find the moment of inertia of this disc about this axis? See, logically, we know the moment of inertia of this disc about the diameter. How much is that? The other day we did it. So,
mr square by 3.
See, this is Iz. Ix plus Iy is equal to Iz. I told you, perpendicular axis theorem states, see, if this is Iz, guys, this is Ix, this is Iy, then Iz is equal to Ix plus Iy. Why? Moment of inertia about an axis which is perpendicular to the plane is equal to the sum of the moment of inertias of two axes which are taken in the plane and mutually perpendicular to the one which is perpendicular to the plane. Are you guys able to visualize this? So 2 times Ix is equal to mr square by 2. Then what will be the value of Ix?
mr square by 4.
mr square by 4. So have this in your mind. So moment of inertia about this diameter is mr square by 4. Then what will be the moment of inertia of this disc about OO dash? That is mr square by 4 plus m into this distance square, parallel axis theorem. Does it make sense? So this is the parallel axis to this one. So you know the moment of inertia of the parallel axis through this one. That is mr square by how much? 8, right? Sorry, mr square by 4. mr square by 4. Then mass of this disk is m into what is the distance between these two axes, since this is a tangential part to this. How much
R.
is that? R. So it will be mr square plus md square, where d is equal to r. Correct? So when that is the case, I hope you guys were able to visualize it.
Yes, sir.
So I'll do it and show. So moment of inertia of disk 1 about O dash, this is O dash, is equal to how much? M r square by 2, no doubt in that. Moment of inertia about O dash for disk 2 will be equal to mr square by 4, because the moment of inertia of a disk about its diameter, that is mr square by 4, plus m into this distance square, the distance is r. So r square, it will be 5 by 4 mr square. Same is the case for D3 also, because it's a similar disk. They're exactly on the opposite ends. So what will be the total moment of inertia? mr square by 2. Moment of inertia is a scalar quantity. Just add them. 2 times 5 by 4 mr square. So this and this will get cancelled. 6 mr square divided by 2. Answer will be 3 mr square. Guys, does it make sense? Are you guys able to visualize?
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Make a note. Make a note. Yeah. So remaining problems, I suggest you guys to try. We will see the next topic. Shall I proceed?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So topic 1 is based on moment of inertia. The next topic that we are going to see is based on angular momentum and its conservation. Okay. So let's do it. First, the time dependence of the position of a particle of mass m is equal to 2. I think it is 2 kilogram. Okay, let's see. The time dependence of the position of a particle of mass m is equal to 2 kilogram is given by r of t is equal to 2t I cap minus 3t square j cap. Its angular momentum with respect to the origin at t is equal to 2 is how much? So if I take the coordinate axis, the position of the particle is given in two-dimensional space or a two-dimensional plane. It belongs to which quadrant? X is
Quadrant.
positive.
Fourth quadrant.
So it belongs to fourth quadrant. Maybe let's say the particle is moving like this. Okay. So with respect to the origin, this is r of t. They have given the position vector of the particle at some time t. It's an instantaneous value. Let me say this point is p, this point is 0, 0. See guys, I'm doing all these things only for your understanding. In exam, you can directly do it. Okay. So since mass is given and they are expecting angular momentum with respect to origin exactly at time 2 seconds, means what are all the values I need to find out the angular momentum? L is equal to r vector cross p vector. Right. So what are all the values I know? I have r vector. How do I find p vector?
m into v. We can find
into
velocity
v.
by differentiating.
Yes, you have to
R.
first find the velocity. Velocity is equal to dr divided by dt. Tell me what is the value?
2 I cap minus tj, 6 tj cap.
60 j cap. But what is the time they have given? At 2 seconds. So I will directly write it 2 I cap minus 12 j cap. Sorry, minus 60, right? 6 into 2 is 12 j cap. Is it right? So velocity vector is equal to 2 I cap minus 12 j cap. R vector is 4 I cap minus 12 j cap, right? So mass is there.
Yes.
So you can write it as m into r vector cross v vector also. Find out what is r cross v and tell me what is the answer. Use the determinants method fast.
Sir, minus 48 k cap plus 24 k cap.
So how much is it?
Minus 24 k cap.
So L vector is equal to 2 into minus 24 k cap. Correct? So that is minus 48 k cap. This is what you're saying. That's the answer. You have an option, right? Right? Shall I go to the next one?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Listen. There's a good problem. Let's see. Not sure. So there is a thin smooth rod. Okay. When they say smooth rod, it is frictionless. Of length L and mass M. So frictionless means there are certain points that should run in your mind. You should also think of them as non-conservative forces. Means when they say smooth, most of the cases they will be dealing with conservative forces. So there is a thin rod of length L and mass M which is rotating freely with an angular velocity omega naught about an axis perpendicular to the rod and passing through its center. So initial case, what is going to happen? There is a rod. They told thin rod because its thickness is ignored. So M and L. What is the moment of inertia in this scenario? ml square by 12. 2 beads each of mass M and negligible size are at the center of the rod initially. Okay, there are 2 beads as well, which are at the center initially. The beads are free to slide along the rod. Okay, the angular speed of the system when the beads reach the opposite ends of the rod. So this is the initial scenario. Now, when the rod starts rotating, what do you think will happen to the beads? They will start moving away from each other. Okay, so there will be one particular scenario where each bead is at one of the ends. Did they give any mass? So mass of the bead is m. Okay. So initial moment of inertia of the system is how much? It is ml square by 12 plus m into 0 square plus another m into 0 square. Why did I write that?
Sir,
Because
negligible size.
it's not about negligible size. Negligible size tells you it is a point mass. So what is the moment of inertia of a point mass? It is mass into distance square. But initially, these two beads, where are they?
At the origin.
At the center, right? At the axis of rotation. So the distance of those beads from the axis of rotation is 0. That is why I symbolically showed it like that, so that you get it, right? So what is the initial angular momentum? It is I into omega, that is ml square by 12 into the initial angular velocity they told for the rod is how much? It is omega naught. That is 1. So what is the final moment of inertia of system? Now you guys tell me. It is ml square by 12 plus
ml square.
It is because m into L square by, see, this is how much distance,
By
guys.
2.
Then it is ml square by 4 plus for this it will be ml square by 4. So what is the total moment of inertia? It is ml square by 12 plus
7 ml square by 12.
it is 7 ml square by 12. Correct? So 7 ml square by 12 into what is the final angular momentum? That is I dash into omega dash. That is 7 ml square by 12 into how much? Omega dash. Let this be 2. Try to understand in this problem some important information that they have given is the beads went to the corners not because of any external force or external torque. It is only because of the system. Just because the system, the rod started rotating, the beads went to the extreme points. Okay. So when that is happening, I can say angular momentum is conserved because there is no external torque. Right? So ml square by 12 into omega naught is equal to how much? 7 ml square by 12 into omega dash. Ml square by 12, ml square by 12. I'm extremely sorry, guys. I made a mistake. What is the mistake I made? You will not find this option.
The mass of rod and beads are different.
Yes. So ml square by 12 plus ml square by 2. So that will be how much? Capital ml square plus 6 small ml square, the whole divided by 12. Then m L square divided by 12, 12 and 12 are left out. L square is gone. So what is that you are left out with? Omega dash is equal to m omega naught divided by capital M plus 6 small m. Is there an option like this? Capital M omega naught divided by capital M plus 6 times small m. Right? Make a note of it. Right? I'm proceeding to the next problem. So next one is a particle of mass, 1 minute. Yes. So there is a particle of mass 20 grams is released with an initial velocity of 5 meters per second along the curve from a point as shown in the figure. The point A is at a height h from point B. So this is at a height h from point B. The particle slides along the frictionless surface. When the particle reaches the point B, its angular momentum about O will be how much? So let's logically think. For us to calculate the angular momentum, what are all the required data? L vector is equal to R vector cross P vector. So what is the data that you need? You need the distance from the point, right? R vector stands for the position vector from the point, and P vector stands for the linear momentum at the point where you're trying to calculate it. Now tell me one thing, guys. When this object is rolling down at point B, what will be the direction of its momentum? What will be the direction of its momentum? So we know that along any curved path, the velocity is always tangential. And we know that the velocity is always, the linear momentum is always in the direction of velocity. A simple point. So I can write L vector is equal to R vector cross M into V vector, which is nothing but M into R vector cross V vector. This is also another formula. Now comes an important point. How do I find the velocity at this? How do I find the velocity at B? What is happening to the object? They told one important word, the particle slides. They didn't use the word roll. Moreover, we don't know what that particle is. So particle slides means what are all the energy conversions that are taking place? And they've told one more point also, it's a frictionless surface. So what are we allowed to apply?
Energy conservation.
Energy
sir.
conservation.
So the total energy, very good. The total energy at A is equal to the total energy at B. So what is the total energy at A? It is mgh. It has only potential energy because it is released from rest, I thought. Was released with an initial velocity. So it has kinetic energy also. Plus half into m into velocity at A square is equal to, what else can I say? This will be equal to half into m into Vb square, because at point B, if I take this as the reference line, there is no potential energy. So what is mgh, guys? Half m into Vb square minus Va square. Is it not like work done by gravitational force is equal to change in kinetic energy? It's the same as work energy theorem also. Both are same. So m and m are gone. G is how much? Can I take it as 10? Yeah, 10 into height is 10 is equal to half into Vb is how much? That's what we need to find. Minus, what is the value of Va, guys? 5 are there. So it is 25. So 200 is equal to Vb square minus 25, which implies Vb is equal to root of 225, which will be 15 meter per second. Guys, accepted? So if I have to write Vb as a vector, I will write it as 15 I cap. What is R vector? From the origin, how much is this distance?
20
20. And what is the direction?
minus J.
Yes. So R vector is equal to 20 into minus J cap. So L vector is equal to mass. Mass is how much? 20 grams. So M, that is 20 into 10 power minus 3 into R vector, that is minus 20 J cap cross 15 I cap. Correct? So how much will this be? 20. So 20 into 15, 300. 300 into 20, 6,000. 6,000 into 10 power minus 3 is 6 into minus J cap cross I cap. Tell me what the answer is. So
K
whatever
cap.
it is, it's a unit vector, right? It's whatever it is, it's a unit vector. They asked only magnitude, answer is 6. Right? I did using vectors. The simpler way to do use, see, since they asked only magnitude, L is equal to MBR sine theta. What is mass? 20 into 10 power minus 3 into V is how much? 15 into R is how much? 20 into sine theta is sine 90. That is 1. Right? You multiply everything, you will get the answer as 6 kilogram meter square per second. I hope it is clear.
Yes, sir.
So this knowledge will actually help you. See, where did we learn angular momentum concept this year in 12th? Where did we discuss it?
Rotational.
Sorry?
Okay.
No, this year in 12th standard we learned it somewhere in your CBSE.
Alternating current.
Alternating current we didn't discuss angular. There were 2 places actually.
Atoms.
Sir, Bohr's
Yes, it comes in Bohr's atom model. See, one we would have discussed in magnetism. You remember when an electron is revolving, it has angular momentum, and there is something called as Bohr magneton. So for Bohr magneton also, we would have used angular momentum only. L is equal to MBR. Similarly, according to Bohr's theory, angular momentum is quantized. MBR is equal to NH by 2 pi. So why I'm saying this is they can actually club a question as it's like that. That's how they generally test. So you should have a cross knowledge also, right? So if this is clear, shall I go to the next one? Shall I proceed to the next one?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Advanced, we will leave. So remaining, you can try again. Okay. So we'll go to the next topic, that is pure rolling motion without slipping. So pure rolling is also known as rolling without slipping. So either they will mention this or this. You should have both in your mind. So, but when this concept is given, what comes to your mind? The point of contact will be at what? The point of contact will be at rest. So many people, again, I'm repeating it, many people, just because there is the word no slipping, many people thinking that friction will not act. Friction will be there. But friction here will not oppose the relative motion. Rather, it will help the object to be in rotation motion. So have that point in your mind. One minute. So this is based on what? Pure rolling. Yeah. So there is a metal coin of mass 5 grams and radius 1 centimeter, which is fixed to a thin stick of negligible mass. So we'll not be concerned about its moment of inertia. The system means this rod plus this coin is at rest. The constant torque that will make the system rotate about the axis AB at 25 rotations per second in 5 seconds is close to. So our work is to find torque, right? So torque has 2 formulae. What are they, guys? Torque is equal to torque vector is R vector cross F vector, or you can, if you write it in the scalar form, you can write it as R into F into sine theta, or sometimes we will write it as force into perpendicular distance, right? But torque also has another formula. What is it?
I alpha.
I alpha, right? So when do you know which formula you're supposed to use? When will you use R cross F and when will you use I alpha? Like the question itself will indirectly give you a hint. Sometimes you might need to use both also. But generally, what are the keywords?
When the
Yeah,
system is rotating, we have to use the second formula.
Okay. So R cross F means when will you know? More than rotation, no? Like the keywords is the system itself will say, like how you told. rotations per second. So what have they given? 25 rotations per second is indirectly what?
Frequency.
Okay. 25 rotations per second is the frequency in 5 seconds. So since they have given you frequency, what can you find out? If
Angular
frequency,
frequency.
yeah, angular frequency, you can find it as 2 pi f. But they have told that angular frequency is changing in how much time? So angular frequency in 5 seconds. So they have indirectly given you what is omega by t? Alpha. So this is the point where you need to be careful. 25 rotations per second in 5 seconds. So indirectly alpha is equal to 2 pi into 25 divided by 5. This and this will get cancelled. It will be 10 pi radians per second square. Right? In this question, what is our work? We need to find torque. Right? Torque is equal to I into alpha. So you have alpha. What is our work? To find I. So for I, what are all the required data? Mass and radius. And it's a coin. Coin is a disk. So what is the moment of inertia of a disk about its tangential axis? So here if you observe, there is a tangential axis, and is the tangent in the plane of the paper, or is it perpendicular to, is it in the plane of the coin, or is it perpendicular to the coin?
In the plane.
In the plane means then you need to apply parallel axis theorem, for which you need to know the moment of inertia about one of the, do you need to know about its natural axis, or do you need to know about its diameter?
About its diameter.
Diameter. So it is mr square by 4, correct? It is mr square by 4. And what is this distance, guys? It is r. So moment of inertia, can I write it as mr square by 4? That is the moment of inertia about one of its diameters plus m into distance square, that is r square, into what is the value of alpha? That is 10 pi. So mr square by 4 plus mr square is 5 mr square by 4 into 10 pi. This will go 5 times, this will go 2 times. So 5 into what is the value of mass? 5 grams. So 5 into 10 power minus 3 into what is the value of r? 1 centimeter. That is 10 power minus 2 meter square. The whole divided by 2 into 5. Right? So if you multiply everything, you're going to get the answer. So 5 5 is 25, 25 into 5 is 125, 125 into pi. So 125 pi by 2 into 10 power minus 7. Pi is 3.14 by 2 is going to be 1.57. Yeah, 1.57. So 125 to 1.57, how much ever the answer is, let's see. But I hope you guys are able to understand. So if in a question they have mentioned the force, the point at which the force is acting, at that time we will use R cross F. If they are using the word rotations, then we go with I alpha. I'm actually use calculator. I'm getting 196.25 into 10 power minus 7. So it will be 1.96 into 10 power minus 5. 1.96 is approximated to 2. So 2 into 10 power minus 5 is the answer. Okay. So which year? It's 2019. Okay. So we'll try one more problem. The string is wound. Oh, sorry. Fourth one is there. So a solid sphere and a solid cylinder of identical radii So a solid sphere and a solid cylinder of identical radii approach an incline with the same linear velocity. Both roll without slipping all throughout. The two climb maximum height h of sphere and h of cylinder on the incline. The ratio of h of sphere and h of cylinder is given by. It's very simple actually. So if I take this as the reference, this is the height they are trying to talk about. So what kind of so they are rolling without slipping. So friction is doing no work for the translatory motion. So what are all the energy conversions taking place here, guys? Whenever you see this
Kinetic
incline,
to potential.
what kinetic?
Rotational kinetic.
It is rotational kinetic. Is it only rotational kinetic? Plus is equal to gravitational potential. Right. So apply it and tell me what is the answer.
Sir,
Yeah.
why is rotational kinetic energy not included on the right side?
Because when they say maximum height, at that point he'll come to rest. No?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So what is the rotational kinetic energy? Half I omega square plus kinetic energy is half mv square is equal to gravitational potential energy, that is mgh. Now what we can do is half into, can I write I as mk square into omega square? So the condition for pure rolling is, what are they asking? The maximum heights, no? So what is the condition for pure rolling? V is equal to R omega. V square divided by they told identical radii, right? So R square plus mv square is equal to mgh. So m gets cancelled, by 2 is there. So half into v square will be common. 1 plus k square divided by r square is equal to g into h. Are they released with the same velocity? So we don't know what is their initial velocity, right? Okay, let's do one thing. H1 is equal to half v square into 1 plus, what is the value of radius of gyration of a solid sphere? It is root of 2 by 5. So can I write this as 2 by 5? Because 2 by 5 r square divided by r square. It will be 7 v square by 10, and you have a g here, 10g. Similarly, what is the value of h2, guys? Half v square by g into 1 plus, it's a solid cylinder. For a solid cylinder, the radius of gyration is r by 2, r by root 2. So I will have 1 by 2. So h1 by h2 is equal to 7v square by 10g by 3v square by 4g. G and G will get cancelled. V square is gone. So it will go up 28 divided by 30, which is 14 divided by 15. Is there an option like this? Yeah. So here, one ambiguity which is there is, they didn't mention anything about the, this is what I was looking, with the same linear velocity. Yes. So that is what I was searching for actually. So since they started with the same linear velocity, then answer will be 14 by 15. Guys, did you understand?
Yes, sir.
So we'll do one last problem and we can wind up. A string is wound around a hollow cylinder of mass 5 kilogram and radius 0.5. If the string is now pulled with a horizontal force of 40 Newton and the cylinder is rolling without slipping on a horizontal surface, then the angular acceleration of the cylinder will be. This is a very simple problem. Force is given. The cylinder is rotating about its cylinder only, no? Yeah. And the cylinder is rolling about its natural axis. So force is given means what formula of torque will you apply? Torque is equal to force into perpendicular distance. Tell me the right values. 40 into what is the perpendicular distance, guys? 1 by 2. So 20 Newton meter. So torque is equal to I alpha, which implies 20 is equal to what is the value of I? It is mr square divided by 2 into alpha. So 40 is equal to m is how much? 5 into r square, that is 25. R square is 1 by 4, sorry, 1 by 4 into alpha. 8 times, so alpha will be 32. But there is no option 32. Did I make any mistake?
So for a
Sir, is it
for a
only
hollow
MR
cylinder,
square?
it's m square.
Did they give hollow cylinder?
Yes, sir.
Where? Oh, sorry. So it should be 1 by 2 then. So 1 by 2 means 16. 16 is there? 16 radian, yeah. 16 radian per second. But you understood conceptually, right? So other problems you can try. So remaining problems you can try. The next class we will proceed with few more problems and we'll go to the next topic. There are few. So that is collision and rotation mechanics. Let's see. This is also an important concept because there are many questions that are asked on a concept called as toppling. I will explain it. That is also based on torque only, that we will see in the next class. With that, we'll be done with this chapter, then we can go to gravitation. Okay. So one more class, we'll have a discussion. If possible, you try it in advance and come so that you can understand better. Okay. Just give me a minute.